The Buddha said. Reciting the Heart Sutra and the Great Compassion Mantra brings immeasurable merits. If one's mind is upright and one's conduct proper, one can surely eliminate all obstacles and accumulate abundant blessings. However, if one goes against their teachings, in mild cases they will be ineffective, and in severe cases, they may backfire, resulting in negative karmic consequences. At Mount Wutai, there was a devoted practitioner named Mingxin. Because he used an improper method of reciting the mantra, he encountered a series of misfortunes, prompting profound reflection. Today, we will explore together the three major taboos that must be avoided when reciting the Heart Sutra and the Great Compassion Mantra. This is not only about individual cultivation results but also about how we genuinely understand and apply the Buddha's teachings, lest we fall into misunderstanding and produce opposite effects. In Buddhism's system of practice, the Heart Sutra and the Great Compassion Mantra hold extremely important positions. Countless practitioners with utmost sincerity recite these two scriptures daily, hoping to purify the mind, accumulate blessings, and attain transcendence and spiritual elevation. However, the path of cultivation is filled with unknowns and hidden intricacies, many of which not everyone can clearly understand. What follows is a true story that happened at Mount Wutai, shared in the hope of inspiring deep insight and contemplation among all practitioners. Mount Wutai, one of the four sacred mountains of Buddhism, has long been regarded as a holy land, exuding an aura of mystery and solemnity. In the mountain's Dasheng Zhulin Temple, many monastics gather to devote themselves to practice, where Buddhism thrives and peacefulness prevails. One frigid winter morning, with the biting cold wind howling, all of Mount Wutai was covered in thick snow, as though draped in a pure white robe. At that moment, a Dharma protector of Bodhisattva Pushyen Samantabhadra urgently descended upon Dasheng Zhulin Temple, bringing shocking news. There was a practitioner named Mingxin, whose profound karmic affinity with Buddhism began at a very young age. His faith in Buddhism was unwavering. For many years, he diligently recited the Heart Sutra and the Great Compassion Mantra every day without fail. Locally, he was well known for his kindness and devoutness. Not only did Mingxin actively engage in various charitable endeavors, providing warmth and assistance to the needy, practicing generosity, but he also seized every opportunity to share Buddhist wisdom with those around him. He advised people to learn Buddhism and do good, guiding them onto the path of cultivation. Yet, without any warning, fate took a huge turn. Just a few days before, a series of misfortunes rushed at Mingxin like a surging tide. The business he had painstakingly managed for years suddenly suffered severe losses, his funding chain broke. Customers left, and all his years of hard work seemed to go to waste. Soon after, his health took a serious hit, a grave illness left him in constant pain and gradually weakened his body. Most heartbreaking of all, the harmony in his family crumbled, with frequent disputes and endless conflict. The once warm, cheerful household was swallowed by disharmony and sorrow. This onslaught of calamities was so swift and devastating that everyone who knew him was left bewildered and shocked. People began wondering what could possibly have caused all of this. Upon hearing the news, the abbot of Dasheng Zhulin Temple, Master Zhida, fell into deep thought. He silently mused, Mingxin has been reciting the sutras for many years, always practicing with devotion and observing the precepts. By reason, he shouldn't receive such negative karmic retribution. There must be some hidden cause yet unknown. Those around him were also puzzled, unable to find a reasonable explanation, as though caught in a dense fog. Just when everyone felt lost, an intense light suddenly illuminated the skies over Mount Wutai. The compassionate Bodhisattva Pushyen Samantabhadra manifested, radiating auspicious light that seemed to dispel all darkness. The Bodhisattva's voice, like a deep resonating bell, echoed through every corner of Mount Wutai. It is time to reveal the hidden secrets of this Dharma gate. Thus, Bodhisattva Puxian decided to hold a significant Dharma assembly at Dasheng Zhulin Temple on Mount Wutai specifically to expound the vital taboos in reciting the Heart Sutra and the Great Compassion Mantra. As soon as the news spread, like a stone dropped into a calm lake causing ripples of interest, practitioners everywhere were stirred. Hearing this, their hearts filled with eagerness. They set aside their tasks and journeyed from far and wide. Among them were lay practitioners, who, amid worldly distractions, remained steadfast in their Buddhist faith, balancing life and spiritual practice. There were also monastics who had renounced lay life, devoting themselves fully to Buddhism in pursuit of higher realms of attainment. Even some international Buddhists crossed oceans, traveling great distances just to listen to the Bodhisattva's teachings and absorb the wisdom of the Dharma. On the day of the Dharma assembly, the sky was filled with swirling snowflakes, like goose feathers drifting in the wind, adding a sense of sacredness to Mount Wutai. Despite the cold weather, people's enthusiasm did not wane. They gathered early at the main hall of Dasheng Zhulin Temple, filling the entire area. With hearts full of devotion and anticipation, they quietly waited for Bodhisattva Puxian's discourse. Their eyes shone with the longing for truth and the hope of resolving their doubts in cultivation. Like travelers seeking light in the darkness. Suddenly, the interior of the main hall blazed with brilliant light, auspicious radiance spread everywhere, and pristine white lotus flowers blossomed in midair, releasing a subtle fragrance. Bodhisattva Puxian appeared majestically, riding a six-tusked white elephant, holy and awe-inspiring, emanating an infinite warmth and serenity. Today, I wish to give a special teaching on the important matters of reciting the Heart Sutra and the Great Compassion Mantra, proclaimed Bodhisattva Puxian, his voice both solemn and compassionate, as if transcending time and space to reach the depths of each listener's heart. In all these years, I have seen many practitioners unknowingly commit certain errors, turning what should have been the accumulation of merit into offenses. It is truly regrettable. When his words fell silent, Bodhisattva Guanyin Avalokiteshvara also manifested, holding a pure vase with willow branches swaying gently, exuding an aura of compassion. Guanyin Bodhisattva spoke softly. Indeed. Take the case of layman Mingxin. Though he persistently recited the sutras and mantras every day, he used an improper method, which led to unexpected consequences. This serves as a reminder that the path of cultivation requires vigilance and care. We must not grow lax even for a moment. Bodhisattva Wenshu Manjusri then appeared, holding a jeweled sword of wisdom that symbolizes cutting through delusion. He added, "Reciting mantras may appear to be a simple practice, but it contains profound principles and intricacies. A slight mistake can yield the opposite result. Not only can you fail to gain the benefits of practice, but it may also bring negative consequences, making the path even harder." Bodhisattva Puxian nodded slightly and continued. "Allow me first to recount some real-life examples. In Jiangsu, there was an elderly lay practitioner who had been reciting sutras and mantras for over 20 years without a single day of interruption. Each morning, he would rise early, finish his calligraphy practice, then sit before the altar and devoutly read the scriptures. However, in recent years, his life gradually became more difficult. Family conflicts arose unceasingly, health problems emerged, and he fell into financial trouble. When he sought my help, I discovered he had committed a mistake many people often make. His mind was frequently disturbed by stray thoughts while reciting the mantra. Sometimes he was preoccupied with how to gain more wealth, other times, he worried about his children's future. He could not truly quiet his mind and focus on the text. Such a flood of miscellaneous thoughts severely weakened the effect of his mantra recitation. Rather than accumulating merit, he increased his karma through his own anxiety and restlessness. In Sichuan, there was also a monastic whose cultivation was originally quite advanced. He served as a role model in the monastery, diligent in daily practice without fail. However, due to errors in his method of reciting mantras, his progress stalled. When he consulted me, I noted his second common mistake. Though outwardly he seemed diligent, he lacked a true sense of reverence for the Dharma in his heart. He recited the mantra mechanically, just as a task to be done, never really absorbing the wisdom and compassion of the mantras. Such an irreverent attitude caused his spiritual progress to halt and even regress. As for layman Mingxin, his error was the third and most severe mistake, one that 90% of practitioners unknowingly commit. When reciting mantras, he did not pay attention to prohibitions related to timing and conditions. Sometimes he would recite immediately after physically strenuous work, covered in sweat, without cleansing himself. Sometimes, he would recite at inappropriate times, for example, in the deep of night around midnight, when yin energy is heaviest, casually chanting scripture. These behaviors, though seemingly minor, violate basic requirements for recitation, causing him not only to miss out on the protection of the mantras but also to attract negative influences. At this, everyone present held their breath, gripped by tension and worry. Many reflected on their own methods of reciting mantras, wondering whether they too had committed these mistakes. Some frowned in deep thought, others looked alarmed that their own cultivation might have been derailed. A solemn air pervaded the hall. Vimalakirti Waimaji also appeared, radiating the light of wisdom. He said, "This issue is indeed of critical importance. While I was in the world, I often reminded practitioners that recitation should not just focus on form. We must also ensure that our method is correct and our hearts are sincere. Simply reciting the text on the surface is superficial, without genuine understanding and reverence. It's impossible to attain real merit." Bodhisattva Puxian went on. Exactly. The Heart Sutra and the Great Compassion Mantra are supreme, containing vast power and wisdom. Correctly recited, they can generate inconceivable merit, helping us eradicate karmic obstacles and enhance our wisdom, granting us inner peace and tranquility. But if we violate the taboos, not only do we fail to gain benefits, we may even harm ourselves, drifting further from our spiritual goals. Bodhisattva Wenshu further explained, "It is like medicine, used correctly. It can cure illnesses and save lives. Used wrongly, it can become poison, harming the body. Reciting mantras is similar. The proper method is like administering good medicine. It nourishes and heals our minds. The wrong method is like taking the wrong medicine, bringing negative consequences." A senior practitioner spoke tremblingly. "Bodhisattva, please tell us which points to pay special attention to when reciting the Heart Sutra and the Great Compassion Mantra. We all desire to practice properly and gain true merit." With a grave expression, Bodhisattva Puxian replied slowly, "The Heart Sutra and the Great Compassion Mantra are supreme, unsurpassed true words. However, if, during recitation, one of the following three circumstances occurs, it will not only fail to eliminate karmic obstacles but will cause serious repercussions. The third is the most forbidden, yet it is exactly what many practitioners commit unknowingly. First taboo, reciting mantras with an unsettled mind." Bodhisattva Puxian explained patiently. Many people do not realize the critical importance of mental preparation before reciting. If one recites while harboring greed, anger, or delusion, not only can they fail to accumulate merit, but they may actually increase their karmic load. Greed causes endless pursuit of material desires. Anger fosters hatred and destroys inner peace, and delusion prevents us from truly grasping the essence of the Dharma. When we recite mantras with these mindsets, it is like contaminating the pure mantra with defilements, rendering its power unable to manifest. Bodhisattva Wenshu added, "Take layman Mingxin, for instance. Although he recited the mantra daily, sometimes it was to pray for business success, other times for promotion and wealth, and sometimes even fueled by resentment toward others. Reciting mantras with such motives is tantamount to using Buddhism for worldly gains, which is a grave error. The purpose of Buddhism is to free us from worldly fetters and grant liberation of mind, not to serve as a tool for satisfying personal desire. When we turn mantras into a means to fulfill self-interest, we have already strayed from the correct path of cultivation. Bodhisattva Guanyin shared another story. I once met a merchant who recited the Great Compassion Mantra daily. But his motive was to defeat his competitors. As he recited, his mind was filled with jealousy and hostility, obsessing only over how to gain more profit. Consequently, not only did his business fail to improve, but he also brought on more vexations and troubles. His heart was consumed by greed and hatred, and he could not experience the compassion or wisdom of the Dharma. In the end, he suffered a crushing defeat in business, and his life descended into chaos. The root cause was an impure motivation. Second taboo, reciting mantras irreverently. Bodhisattva Pushyen continued. Some people treat recitation as a daily routine. They recite absent-mindedly, scrolling through their phones or chatting at the same time, or even lying down while chanting. These are all acts of disrespect toward the Dharma and the mantras. The Dharma is supremely sacred, and mantras are the crystallization of the Buddha's and Bodhisattvas' wisdom. We should approach them with awe and respect. When our attention drifts or we behave inappropriately during recitation, we belittle the Dharma. Such irreverent attitudes distance us from the Dharma's power, making genuine blessings unreachable. Vimalakirti also mentioned. Yes, precisely. I have seen people reciting sutras in the restroom, which is an impure environment, or people chanting after drinking alcohol. Such behaviors are severe acts of disrespect. The restroom is a defiled space, filled with impure energy, making chanting there a violation of the mantra's sanctity. Drinking alcohol muddles the mind, preventing it from remaining clear and focused. Hence, recitation in such a state cannot yield the proper results. Mantras are sacred. We should select a clean, solemn environment, upholding a respectful and devout mindset. Then a manifestation of Bodhisattva Nagarjuna appeared and said, "In India, I once witnessed a Burma who recited mantras daily, but his attitude was extremely casual. He often ate while chanting, treating recitation as an ordinary task with no sense of gravity. Consequently, he never received any beneficial response. His health worsened, and his life fell into disarray, while his practice remained stagnant. Later, I instructed him to rectify his attitude by choosing a serene environment to recite and ensuring he prepared himself physically and mentally before chanting. He followed my advice and changed his ways. Gradually, his health improved, his life became stable, and his practice clearly progressed." Third taboo, the most serious, reciting mantras at unsuitable times and under inappropriate conditions. Bodhisattva Pushyen's tone grew more solemn. For example, when a woman is in her menstrual period, her body is in a special state, it is not suitable to recite profound mantras then. During this time, a woman's body is comparatively weak, and her energy field is unstable. Chanting may have adverse effects on her health and spiritual practice. Likewise, one should not recite mantras in unclean places, such as dumps or slaughterhouses, as these locations are filled with negative energy and defilement. They can disrupt our practice and hinder us from connecting with the positive energy of the mantras. Bodhisattva Guanyin further explained. The term not observing time or place refers also to chanting mantras at random hours. Certain periods are unsuitable for recitation. For instance, the hour of the Ratzishur, from 11 p.m. to 1 a.m., when yin energy is strongest and negative energies are more active, is not ideal. At that time, we should keep quiet, letting our body and mind rest, rather than casually reciting scriptures. Choosing an appropriate time and place helps us better harmonize with the power of the Dharma and achieve stronger practice outcomes. A worried young lay practitioner asked, "If we realize that we have violated these taboos, how can we make amends? We all fear that our past errors might negatively affect our cultivation. With compassion, Bodhisattva Pushyen answered. If you discover you have committed these mistakes, you must first sincerely repent and truly recognize the gravity of your actions. Repentance is not merely uttering a few apologetic words, it involves deep reflection and genuine remorse for your missteps. Then you should make a vow before the Buddha to start chanting properly according to the Dharma. Making a vow is powerful, it fortifies our determination to cultivate and guides us in the right direction. At the same time, engage in meritorious deeds to compensate for earlier wrongdoings, such as participating in charity, helping others, or releasing living creatures' function. Through such virtuous acts, we accumulate blessings and reduce karmic obstacles, smoothing our path of cultivation. Bodhisattva Wenshu offered specific advice. I recommend the following. First, choose a pure place, ideally a shrine or monastery filled with Dharma energy that facilitates concentration. If you cannot practice at a shrine or temple, find a quiet, clean room. Before reciting, tidy the space thoroughly, arrange images of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, and place the sutras respectfully. Next, before recitation, chant 3 times the mantra for purifying verbal karma Jing Ko Yezhinyen and the mantra for purifying the 3 karmas Jing San Yezhinyen to cleanse your own karmic obstructions. The first mantra purifies the karma of speech, so that your words become more pure. The second purifies the body, speech, and mind, bringing your entire being into a state of purity. Then, when reciting, sit upright with palms together, holding a reverent and devout heart. Sitting upright stabilizes the body, and placing palms together shows respect and devotion to the Dharma. During recitation, focus entirely on the scriptures, immersing your mind in the wisdom and power they contain. Avoid distractions from the external environment. Bodhisattva Guanyin added. Most important is having the correct motivation. Do not recite merely for personal gain, but arouse the bodhicitta, the aspiration to attain enlightenment for the benefit of all. Bodhicitta is a boundless, selfless compassion. When we recite with bodhicitta, our practice is no longer for ourselves alone, but to help all beings be free of suffering and attain happiness. This motivation gives deeper meaning to our cultivation, and the merit gained thereby is genuine and immeasurable. Before reciting, we may silently dedicate, "May the merit of my recitation of the Heart Sutra and Great Compassion Mantra benefit all beings, so that they may be freed from suffering and find happiness." By dedicating the merit in this way, we link our practice to the well-being of all sentient beings, allowing the Dharma's power to spread more widely. Finally, Bodhisattva Pushyen summarized. The Heart Sutra and the Great Compassion Mantra possess unfathomable merit and encapsulate the immeasurable wisdom and compassion of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. Through proper recitation, one can dissolve karmic obstacles, accumulate blessings, and gain inner peace and liberation. Yet no matter how precious the method, if used improperly, it can have harmful effects. I hope everyone will remember these 3 taboos and recite the mantras correctly, thereby genuinely receiving the protection of the Dharma and reaping true benefit. The road of cultivation is long, but as long as we maintain the correct attitude and method, we will surely reach the shining shore of enlightenment. After the Dharma assembly, Layman Mingxin deeply reflected on his past actions and felt great regret for his mistakes. Following Bodhisattva Pushyen's guidance, he sincerely repented and made a vow before the Buddha to begin reciting mantras properly. He rose early each morning to the altar, first chanting the mantra for purifying verbal karma and the mantra for purifying the 3 karmas, then sitting upright with palms together to recite the Heart Sutra and the Great Compassion Mantra. During recitation, he set aside all distracting thoughts, keeping only reverence for the Dharma and compassion for all beings. Meanwhile, he actively participated in various charitable causes, delivering supplies and care to impoverished regions and helping those in need. He practiced kindness in action while reciting mantras, ensuring his cultivation aligned with the Buddhist principles of wisdom and compassion.